Hey guys, RagingRaptor here, and today I have a look with you at the Manticore, the upcoming tier 10 British light tank. But not only that, we also have some other things we're going to look at, especially like how the new tech tree is going to be built up, as well as doing some assumptions on how good the camouflage of this tank will be. The problem, however, is I didn't have enough time, nor did I found the perfect formula to calculate what this tank could have on camouflage. So again, I took some assumptions. That's what you do in physics, at least. Sometimes you just have to take assumptions and see if it's going to be correct or not. And we will see this when those tanks will be released on the test server. Anywho, this tank is our tier 10 vehicle, the Manticore. You can see fat gun, ugly as fuck, and it's British. no hate against British people, or British tank builds, but gosh darn it, guys, why do you make such ugly tanks? This is ugly. Churchill gun carriers, ugly as hell. Come on. Yeah. Anyway, I don't really want to read through everything like this because there is a lot of things which we're just going to look at in general with the different tanks or with the different infos. What I want to do, however, is to just quickly summarize, there we go, the word which was missing for me, to summarize what exactly we are going to have a look at, or what is standing in there, because, well, that's the most, interesting thing. So, the most interesting thing is the tree starts at tier 6, or at least at tier 6, it's going to branch off into their own tree. So, for all you people out there, I highly recommend right now to, when you want to grind this tank, obviously, to buy back your Cromwell, because, where is it? I'm blind, apparently. No, there is it, the Cromwell. I already had played some games yesterday with it, and with the 5 times XP bonuses for winning, it was pretty chill to already get like 21,000 XP on it. Please keep in mind, my dear friends and followers and viewers, that if you are pre-grinding those XPs for the Cromwell, for example, right now, that if you want to convert free experience, I highly really highly recommend to do this. To just, in case you're going to convert free experience, to put the Cromwell out. Otherwise, oh wait, what I'm doing? No, please, I don't want to buy gold. There we go. Oh my god, I almost bought gold. Oh my god, I was so stupid. Yeah, please put this out so you're not going to waste all this hard-earned XP. And well, maybe. And well, you just keep that in mind, that if you convert experience from the Cromwell, that those can go away again. And obviously take out accelerate crew training when you not finish the Cromwell yet, And again, right now it's 30% off at 600,000, so it's a pretty chill price. What I also recommend to you guys right now is that if you decide to pre-grind it, I would suggest to go up to 60, maybe even 65,000 to be on the safe side. Because when I looked through the different XP ratios you need for tier 7 vehicles, it was between 45 to 60k depending. And here we have a special case. We are changing from a medium to a light tank. So usually such skips cost a little bit more experience. So again, my best bet would be for you to just take your time. This update is coming in August or something, so relax, you got a lot of time left. But maybe grind around 60k and you are fine. So this is the first thing which you have. Then we have on tier 7 the GSR 3301 setter, on tier 8 the LHMTV, and tier 9 the GZOR 3301 AVR FS, and on the tier 10 the Manticore. The interesting part is here we have the AVR FS, which is the tier 9 vehicle, here the tier 8 vehicle, and the tier 7 vehicle, as well as the tier 10 vehicle. Again, if you want to look at those pictures for yourself, I'll leave a link in the comment section below, or description below. Most importantly, I had a little talk with Phil, the German community manager, and we are not entirely sure if this part up here counts towards the spotting model, because looking at the calculation for the spotting points, which is a whole different topic, they could. So it makes sense that the T100LT's calculation of spotting is up here, while this one is over here, because there's nothing really else looking above it, and yes, antennas do not count. But yeah, you can see those vehicles in general. Tier 7 is ridiculous small. Obviously, Russia is biased. The Tier 8 one is also very, very small. The Tier 9 one as well. You can see they are so tiny and compact. And by the way, I do think they are an engineering nightmare. Look at those fin threads. Like, Jesus, they're going to... Yeah, they're going to snap pretty quickly. At least this is what you need to know. There's nothing else. The only thing is Wargaming says those vehicles will be camouflage beasts, have strong guns, or rather comparable guns to mediums, slightly worse than mediums, but horrible DPM. At least this is what the Tier 10 vehicle shows us. So, I think it is time we are going to have a look at the Tier 10 vehicle and compare it to different other tanks. And here I put out all other Tier 10 light tanks, and perfect, we can perfectly compare them. I just have to sorry for people which are watching on mobile phones and can't really see it, but we have to slightly convert it to how we have everything up. So the first thing, the hit points, you can imagine it is probably one of the worst, and yes, you are right, it is right now the second worst, the worst one being the EBR with 1300. It's on par with the 13105, and after that it's worse than everything else. Yes, 1400 hit points. Armor, I don't really want to talk about. Obviously, don't forget the T100LT is a pocket medium, so it's the best armor. This one, well, 50 on the front, 30 side, 25 back, and 80 on the turret. Like, the only redeemable feature is that probably you can here and there bounce an HE shot off a EBR 105 with your turret, but don't count on it. Like, I read a lot of comments already, and I have to agree that this tank, the Manticore, will be, well, when it comes to fighting, it's gonna get fucked hard. The engine power is 500 horsepower, gives it a power to weight ratio of only 40.3. For a second I thought this is amazing, but compared to all the other tanks, it's actually pretty darn shite. To be precise, the only one being worse is the AMX 3105 and the WZ 132.1. The rest is better, and this by a long shot. 3 HP to ton ratio being the minimum, 8 the maximum. Those are quite big differences. And I think with those threats, this tank will definitely not have good soft stats. At least that is from my impression. I'm going to have a look if terrain resistances. Well, apparently, looking deeper into the stats, they are not that bad. At least what other sources are saying. It's on par with the AMX 13105. So, yeah, if you want to feel like how the Manticore is playing, I'd suggest to you to play the AMX 13105. It will be a tiny touch snappier when it comes to acceleration, but that's about it. Another cool feature is that it has 25 kilometers per hour reverse speed, which is on par with the most other Tier 10 light tanks. I'm not counting the EBR because it's a wheelie. And it's actually, with the T100LT and the Rheinmetall Borsig Panzerwagen, the best. So that's awesome, the backward speed. Top speed, 68 kilometers per hour, is an average value and is decent. It's not the best, not the worst. Well, tank traverse is decent. It's on the lower edge, but 45 degrees more than enough. Tank traverse is 40 degrees, which is also really on the lower edge, but again, it's good enough. Fuel range, 400 meters. Slightly on the lower side, but it's not too bad. And I understand why it is at 400. I'm going to talk about this in just a second. There we go. You can see that it is an average value, because we have some with 420, some with 390, and obviously the EBR with 350. But again, 400 is a totally decent value. And depending how you're going to play this tank, you can like really pump out a decent chunk of fuel range. I just have to find one with There we go. Because in theory, well, you can play this tank as you wish. You can say, yeah, I want to have improved winds, I want to have coded optics, let's have some brothers in arms action, and some situational awareness, as well as recon, and let's give it some good old putting and T10 for this, and you get 510 meters of view range, which is big, like really big. You could also go for binos, and you get 570 meters of view range, which is ridiculous, because you can do a decent chunk of camo breaking. Speaking of camo, the other source I have says that this tank has 36% stationary camo. To put this into perspective, you saw it already. Here we have the different tanks in the game with their respective camo values. All the tier 10 light tanks as well as the ELC even. And those here are the standard values, and those two over here are fully equipped on camouflage, except for the camo directive. And even fully equipped, the Sheridan does not reach 36% camo rating. This is huge. Without any camouflage value, the Manticore will have better camouflage than the Sheridan. And it's, well, slightly worse than what we have on the EBR 105, fully equipped. That is huge. To put this into perspective, back in the days, I did a video about camouflage values and the EBR 105. So right now, let's just do a little experiment. 36%. This is what the Manticore has as standard. And now we are taking the EBR 105 fully equipped without any directive, like without any camouflage directive. There we go. This is my EBR. Ooh. And we are at 45.16%. So put this in here, 45.16%. I can assure you that those values which we have here are on point, because I tested them. I'm leaving a link to that video as well if you want to see. So now when we have different view ranges, let's take for example a classic 500 meters of view range on tier 10, which is an average. So on the open field, a Manticore without any camouflage values, without any camo crew, without anything helping to boost its camo, gets spotted at 38 meters. While an EBR fully trimmed on camo rating goes down to 296 meters. 40 meters 40 meters difference. This is nothing. If you think about it, we have no camouflage on the Manticore at the moment. Nothing. No camouflage whatsoever. That is huge. And now we have to do an assumption, my dear ladies and gentlemen. Because the problem is, basically I tried to do my own camouflage calculator. It didn't really work out. Like, the formula is more secret than the Krabby Patty formula. It's really hard to find out and to break out. I tried to look into it. It's a really annoying formula because some things are just very, 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 very weird. Like, for example, the effective camouflage skill is very, 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 very weird to calculate, and I sadly didn't manage to do it. We came a little bit close right here with those values when it's 0.45.25, but in theory we have 45.16. Again, please imagine that this is with times 100 to get the percentage. It's pretty close. So we can try to do the same with the Manticore. So we're just going to copy paste those and put in the 0.36 camouflage value of the Manticore. Again, this is a little bit weird. Right now we get 60%, like when we round it up, of camouflage value. But on the other hand, we could do other camouflage calculations. And again, it's so much assumption right now. It's a lot of assumptions right now. Because I also thought, but well, what happens if we calculate the camouflage factor for the Sheridan, for example? So we are taking right here, we 31.86 divide, which is the top value, divided by the 41. excuse me, 4.8, and we get 2.2% increase in camouflage. So now we can say, well, we can do the same thing with the EBR, right? So we are taking this one right here, and we said that the base is, you can see it down here, maybe not because my face is in the way. Oops, 21.15, excuse me. 45.16 divided by 21.15, and we get 2.13% increase. However, this tank, it makes sense that it goes down a little bit, because the better your camouflage base is, the less you get back. So it's a little bit wonky. So let's say we get a 2% increase, or a twofold increase. So we can say it's 36 times 2, and we get 72% camouflage rating. That is, again, ridiculous if you think about it. So let's take this value right here, because it makes a tiny touch more sense, because 72% camouflage value would be absolutely ridiculous. So again, assumption, let's take 60%. We will see on Supertest, on the test server when it comes out finally, and then we can have a look at it. So now let's take the Manticore's 60% camouflage value, and back we can do more calculations, and here now we can see where it goes wild. Oh, where did I go? No, what am I doing? Fucking hell. Here goes wild. You can see now we suddenly have a difference from 56 meters towards the EBR on the open field. The EBR 105 gets spotted 56 meters earlier, or here even 63 meters earlier. So it goes up a lot. It goes up incredibly quickly. So that is absolutely ridiculous. And you can see while the EBR, when it's standing in a fully enclosed bush, has 73% camouflage value, the calculation right here is basically just breaking, meaning that it will be always in a bush. It won't be spotted when it's standing in a bush. And this is again ridiculous. We can once more do the see what happens when we take a type 4 heavy, a type 5 heavy, a bad shot, those different camouflage spotting values, and you can see the Manticore once again gets spotted pretty much all the time around 40 to 50 meters later, which is huge if you think about it. You can outspot a bad shot without any problem. And again, here comes the interesting part. We can, or we should be able to outspot enemies much, much better. Because for example, here I made the calculations with 460 meters of view range when I'm going to spot a type 5 heavy when he's standing in a bush. It's at 246 meters. And the type 5 heavy, or at least mine, had 423 meters back in the days when we did the calculations. So we can now put in, for example, a classic 500. We saw it with the tank, with the, where is it? Again, I'm very, there we go. 570 meters, but we are taking normal coded optics. 501 meters, so just 500 meters. And we're going to spot type 5 heavy on 265 meters. Well, meanwhile, when he has 423 meters of view range, he's not going to spot us at 199 meters. Again, this is huge. We are going to outspot this guy on the open field on 70 meters. Like, even if he's standing fully enclosed in a bush. You cannot do this with an EBR. This is immense. And again, this is just pure assumptions, and assumptions more or less maybe on the lower side. So point is, what I want to say for like 20 minutes now, this tank is basically a tier 10 ELC even 90, but it's on steroids. The only issue it has no autoloader, and it has a crap gun. Why do I say it's a crap gun? Because this is what we're going to look at now. The 248 millimeters of penetration are amazing. Don't get me wrong, it's one of the best values on tier 10 medium tanks, as light tanks, Jesus Christ. Raging, what are you doing? Why are you so stupid? You're so stupid. I just have to find where it is. It is, if I'm not mistaken, it is the best value for penetrating. Okay, we have to make a tiny, well, we can't really do adjustments because I'm too stupid. Ah, never mind, I found it out because I'm a smart boy. Yeah, now I just have to get back. Okay, it doesn't. Ah, wait. There we go. I am a little bit stupid. I still have to get used to it. So, it has the best standard penetration on the field of tier 10 light tanks. It has AP as standard, meaning it's not going to lose as much penetration over distance than other tanks, but it will have troubles penetrating or leading their shots. So for example, the WZ 132-1, which has an APCR standard round with 246 millimeters of penetration, loses on 500 meters almost 50 or 49 millimeters of penetration, which is a pretty decent chunk of penetration loss. My guess will be it will be probably around 20 to 30 millimeters for the Manticore, so we have already 20 millimeters of advantage. The problem, however, lies that the premium rounds are pretty bad, with 268 millimeters of APCR penetration, while others have heat. For example, again, this tank has 280 heats, this one has 240 heats, but again, it's the EBR, so it has crap penetration. This one, 280 heats, here we have another 280 heats, this one has 280 heats, and lastly, this one has 248 AP rounds. So, yeah, it will lack with premium rounds, and HE has 60 millimeters of penetration, which is also pretty decent. It's one of the better values, but it is not the best. Obviously, this goes to the Panzerkampfwagen with for 120, and the rest of the field is like 77 to 10 millimeters on the back foot. The sad part is it has a little bit low damage in my opinion, because the HE is decent. 60 millimeters is decent, you can use it to kill artillery, just the damage is way too low to actually kill an artillery piece when every RT on tier 10 has around 500 and more HP. 0.38 accuracy is also on the better side than other tanks. Just have to quickly look where the accuracy, gun handling is probably. There we go. It is not the best. The best one goes to the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen with 0.35, but it's on par with the Sheridans. And the Sheridans are a pretty decent gun. The problem, however, is the long aim time. It's 2.3 seconds, so it's even worse than what the AMX 13105 has. And now comes the biggest bummer of them all. 14 seconds reload time. That is a pretty big oof, my dear friends. 14 seconds reload time. Just to put it into perspective, the EBR 105 has 12. So again, fully loaded, my EBR goes down all the way to 9.5 seconds. So we gain around 2.5 seconds of reload time. Because it is more reload time, we can say it's 2.7 seconds to just do a little bit of assumptions. So our newest newcomer will have around 11.3 seconds reload time for 390 Alpha. Big ouch. This freaking hurts. 11.7 seconds. Another to put it into perspective, this is base almost when the Manticore deals 2 shots of damage, the 13105 has reloaded its clip in this time and is going to clip it out. Maybe, if it gets lucky, because 390 times 3 is 1,200. No, wait. 1,370? If I'm not mistaken. RagingRaptor is too tired for that goofus stuff. It's 1,170. Yeah, he could in theory outclip the Manticore when the Manticore already is damaged. But yeah, 8 degrees of gun depression is better than some of the tanks, most of the tanks. It's on par with the EBR, which is slightly worse at 7 degrees, but and it's on par with the AMX 3105 with 8 degrees. The rest have 8 or 10 or worse. The problem is the gun elevation, which is just 8 degrees, and this is obnoxiously bad because everybody else has 12 to 15 degrees. And again, I've played a lot of EBR. I can assure you that 15 degrees of gun elevation is bad, and you can feel it, and it's really annoying. So now we just have 8. This is super bad. But yeah, that's it. A lot of talk about the Manticore. I know this video is way too long, but there was a lot of things we had to discuss and look at. And this tank is, and I'm still going to say, is a tier 10 ELC even 90 without the autoloader gun. It is ridiculous. My problems, however, are with 14 seconds reload time and a gun which is not even that accurate, it will be pretty annoying to play because, well, you can use it on some maps like, again, like for example, Malinovka, Progorovka, Karelia, I think it is Karelia. What Karelia? Yeah, it is Karelia. Like, on those maps, it works wonders. But most other maps, you have a big problem. The only saving grace for this tank is how ridiculous good its camouflage will be. Again, on the open field, with our approximation of 60% camouflage rating, this tank basically is not going to get spotted up to 250 meters, and I highly doubt that most people have more than 530 meters of view range. You can stay on the open field on 240 meters, basically. Obviously, you can't shoot, but 240 meters, man, guys. This is ridiculous. If you're in a bush, you're invisible. That's a fact. And for that, you have 400 meters base view range, which is, again, a great value, which you can pump up to 500 meters when you do proper skilling, proper crew management, and so on and so forth. It might be a game changer to some maps. The problem, again, will be most likely that this tank has no fighting chance whatsoever, so it is incredible team dependent. I do think, however, that this tank will have a huge impact in clan wars, depending what map it is. The problem, however, also the cool thing is how small it is. We already looked at this for a second. Again, here's the picture comparison, meaning that the hitbox of the tank is pretty small, meaning that blind shots might be harder to land on this tank. Nevertheless, good tanks, other good clans will know where to blind shot, except for Karelia, because Karelia has too many bushes. So on this map, in clan wars, this tank could be incredibly broken. And yeah, that's about it. I know it's a long video, and I thank you so much for your attention. If you enjoyed it still, leave a like, leave a comment. And yeah, I hope you learned something. I hope you agree with my assumptions. And yeah, I'll talk to you all in another video, which is probably about the Britannia Panther. But, well, it's basically a poodle in verse.